गजाननं भूतगणातिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मत् आचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। Namaste to everybody. Welcome to this session on Vidura Neeti. This is going to be a series of several sessions, so this will be the first session. As you all know, in our Sanatana Dharma, or Hinduism as it is called, we have abundant sources of knowledge and wisdom. These were all propagated since thousands of years ago by our great Maharishis. One of the fundamental scriptures that we have, which is acceptable to all sections of Hindus, is what is called Vedas. Veda comes from the Sanskrit root vid, which means to know. So Vedas, they form a storehouse of knowledge. And this knowledge, when it is applied in various situations, becomes wisdom. So fundamentally, we have two sets of scriptures. I'd like to show you a slide on this. As you all see here, it is a Vidura Neeti. It is a set of lessons being taught. So our holy scriptures, as I was mentioning, are divided into two sections. The Vedas, which are called Shruti, because these were heard by the Maharishis. There is no author known. So they call Apaurushaya, without any human author. These were heard, and that's why they call Shruti, what is heard. And this Shruti is Vedas, which are divided into four parts here: Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, and Atharva Veda. So you have these four Vedas, which are called Shruti, and then they are supplemented with several other scriptures, what are called secondary scriptures, which include Dharma Shastras, the Puranas, the Itihasas, the Vedangas. The epics form part of the Itihasa. And Itihasa literally means so it was, as it verily happened. Itihasa. I say hua in Hindi, as they call it. So they said the Ramayana and Mahabharata, they're all itihasas. They are stories. And these stories, they actually transmit the knowledge through very interesting episodes to make people understand what is dharma, what is the right course of action. Ramayana, for example, demonstrates how dharma should be followed. Dharmam charataha, walk the path of dharma. Dharmam chara, as you say, matrudevo bhava, piturdevo bhava, acharya devo bhava. These are all part of the dharma. And Rama himself demonstrates this path of dharma in Ramayana, most popular epic all over the world. The second Itihasam as Mahabharata tells you what happens when dharma is not followed, the impact of adharma, in other words. The Ramayana itself is a very large itihasa. Valmiki Ramayana has over 24,000 slokas. And Mahabharata is at least 4 times bigger, which is about 100,000 verses. So you can imagine how much of content these two itihasams contain. Most popular epics which are globally known to people. So these scriptures, they provide abundant sources from which we can learn to improve our own life. So having said that, there was a person named Vedavyasa. You might have heard of him. This is Maharishi Vedavyasa. At the end of Dwapar Yuga, the previous one, when the disappearance of the Yuga was imminent, people got worried. What is going to happen to the Vedas? They asked Krishna. Krishna said, there will be somebody born with my name in the next Yuga, Kali Yuga. And then he will establish many things, including compiling the Vedas and making sure that people have something to follow dharma. So rightfully, Vedavyasa was born as Krishna Dvaipayana. Same name as Krishna. He was also black, so he was called Krishna. And since he was born in an island, he was called Dvaipayana, Krishna Dvaipayana. And since he compiled the 4 Vedas, he was also called Vedavyasa. So Vedavyasa is given the credit of compiling the Vedas, the 4 Vedas. And he wasn't happy even after doing that. So he's credited with authoring the Mahabharata, which is a great epic, and the 18 Puranas, ancient stories. So he was such a great person that we celebrate his birthday every year once, Guru Purnima, and he's considered Maharishi Vedavyasa, the compiler of Vedas, the author of Mahabharata and the 18 Puranas. I'm giving you this background so that you have a better appreciation of what has happened and how the Vidura Neeti came about. So several questions may arise in your mind, and these questions could be, who was Vidura? What is Vidura Neeti? Where do you find it? In what context it is given? And in what is its content? So I'm going to explain to you each one of these and then introduce the Vidura Neeti in a manner you can follow the subsequent lessons much easier. So the question first comes, who was Vidura? Vidura itself means intelligent, skilled or wise. And he was one of the central characters in Mahabharata. He was actually a step-brother of Dhritarashtra and Pandu. Many of you know the epic of Mahabharata, so I don't think I need to explain more as to who is Dhritarashtra and who is Pandu. Now, as you all know, there was a play between the Kauravas, Duryodhana and Yudhishthira, in which Yudhishthira lost and he was asked to go on exile. And after coming back, he was to get back his kingdom. But when he came back, Duryodhana refused to give him the kingdom. So the matter had to be resolved. And Vidura was a minister, the prime minister for Dhritarashtra, the prime advisor to him, because he was very intelligent and wise, even though he was a step-brother. So Vidura was considered to be a person who would always be kept in confidence by Dhritarashtra. After all, you need to have someone with whom you can talk freely, and Vidura was one such person to Dhritarashtra who was blind. So Vidura was an intelligent minister to Dhritarashtra. So what is Vidura Neeti? Neeti is a term which is used to mean a moral code, prudence, a matter of conduct and wisdom. It's a very popular term in Marathi also, and even in Hindi. So it refers to also management behavior and social ethics. So Vidura Neeti is a set of lessons on what is really a code of good conduct and how can people really follow that. So it was an advice given by Vidura to Dhritarashtra. It's like Bhagavad Gita, where Lord Krishna taught Arjuna. Where is this found, Vidura Neeti? Now, it is found in Mahabharata. Vidura Neeti is actually in a chapter called Udyoga Parva. It's covered in 8 chapters of the Udyoga Parva of the Mahabharata. Now, in what context this Vidura Neeti has come in? Much before the Mahabharata war, Vidura had discussed and made the royal family, the Kauravas, aware of the repercussions of the fallout between the Kauravas and the Pandavas. So they knew very well what might happen. The setting of the teaching of Vidura Neeti was in the palace of Dhritarashtra, the blind king. When the Kauravas are about to engage in a war with their cousins, the Pandavas, for the kingdom. Now Sanjaya, who was the charioteer, the driver for Dhritarashtra, he had brought a message from Yudhishthira and the Pandavas, entreating a reconciliation and not to have a fight, but then come to an understanding properly. The Pandavas were willing to negotiate. They didn't want all 5 kingdoms, but then they thought even a smaller portion, 5 villages or even 5 homes would be good enough. This message was brought to Dhritarashtra. He was blind, he couldn't read it, but Sanjaya said, it's quite late. So I will address the court tomorrow to present this report or message. And then we can go further. After hearing this, Dhritarashtra could not sleep. So that is the context in which Vidura was called by Dhritarashtra. He says, I'm not able to sleep. So let me call Vidura, ask his advice, what is to be done. So Vidura is an intelligent minister. So he sends for Vidura late in the night, and Vidura comes to meet him. And Dhritarashtra tells him the situation, the distress that he's going through, and asks his advice. So the advice given by Vidura to Dhritarashtra in the form of a series of questions and answers is what is Vidura Neeti. It's pretty long. I said 8 chapters it covers. So by reading this and then listening to it, what do we get? As I said, our scriptures are sources of abundant knowledge and wisdom. And by learning from Vidura Neeti, we have many benefits. Now, everybody is wanting success in life. Everybody is working hard towards happiness. So there are many methods of how one should prepare to achieve success in life. In fact, there is a saying in English, preparation is the key to success. So this Vidura Neeti really prepares you to achieve success in life. Secondly, many people get distressed. Somebody has to really inspire them. When they get motivated by an external source, they act. But there are many leaders, you see, who do not require an external source. They are self-motivators. They charge their batteries on their own. The spiritual batteries, the mental batteries, they get charged. Like solar energy, you get them from somewhere and they charge it themselves. They don't need something to plug on. So Vidura Neeti tells you how to be a self-motivator. Thirdly, a lot of people work hard, may not really work smart because they get distracted. Their mind goes elsewhere. They are not able to focus. So we learn how to concentrate on work and continue. Then there are many things in life which you should do. There are also many things in life which you should not do. In other words, what are the do's and don'ts in life? That is also learned. How to develop self-confidence. There are people with extremely good knowledge, but they are not very confident about themselves. They are meek. They are mild. They are not able to assert themselves. So you need to develop self-confidence and determination. Go after a goal. First of all, you should set a goal. So how to develop self-confidence and determination is another thing we can learn. And today, especially in times of pandemic, people have to think innovatively. You see many examples in various parts of the world where people are very innovative, like online education now, where schools are closed and people are learning, even children are learning from the computer online. That is an innovative way of learning. So many people work from home. So that is a necessity, is a matter of invention, as they call it. How to be creative in thinking. So these are all great things to learn from Vidura Neeti, and there are many more. As you go on, you will learn as to what these are all about. Okay, now what are the contents of this Vidura Neeti? Very quickly, I will go through what each content is there in each chapter. The first chapter is talking about how to really spot an educated or an uneducated person. What are the qualities of a wise person or educated person? And the second chapter deals with what are the qualities of a king or a leader. As the saying goes, Yatha Raja Tatha Praja. So the king or the leader has to set an example if he wants the citizens to be good. So what are these qualities expected from a king, a leader, the traits which are essential? The third chapter is about all the good qualities that a person should possess and how he should behave in himself in presence of his society. After all, we are all living in societies and communities. The fourth chapter deals with a very important quality, what is called tolerance. You know, you got to tolerate dissent. There are people who oppose you, there are people who agree with you, but sometimes people get really hot when somebody differs in the opinion and they express something else. Now, how to tolerate it is a big thing. Now you have to cultivate that quality of tolerance for others. And that is covered in the fourth chapter. And the fifth chapter tells us what we should do and what we should not do. As I mentioned, the do's and don'ts in life. And in fact, gives examples of several people who do the wrong things. So this sixth chapter is a very important one, how to treat everyone with respect. Now this is important. It starts even within a family. The family members should treat each other with respect. So it goes on to a community, to a country, and so on. How to treat everyone with respect is also covered. Sixth chapter. And seventh chapter tells what habits should be really given up. You know, there are habits are always something which are developed over time, but there are certain habits which are not good, like getting up very late in the morning. No, that's not a healthy habit. But then there are such habits which should be given up. Drinking liquor, smoking, and so on. How to make friends with the right people. And how to deal also with bad people. So that is covered in the seventh chapter. And the eighth chapter talks about the eventual goal for everybody, how to acquire happiness and also fame. People should know, my mother used to tell me, don't be like a lamp lit in a pot. If it is lit in a pot, the light will not be visible outside. It will be only inside. But it will be a lamp which throws the light all over. So you should also share many things and how to attain happiness and fame within a short frame of time. And ultimately, how to develop those virtues of detachment and go on the path to salvation. So that is how the Vidura Neeti is set up in eight chapters. So let's start now with the chapter 1. Now, I have to tell you that Vidura Neeti has more than 450 slokas. So it is not possible to cover all these slokas. I am going to give you just the highlights, the most important ones. So we may cover it maybe in 3 or 4 sessions, or could be a little longer, I don't know. But the essence of Vidura Neeti is what will be covered in our sessions. So we will set the ball rolling now, and I'm going to tell you the very first chapter where Vidura comes and meets Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra says, Dhritarashtra uvacha Sanjayo Vidura Prapto Garshayitva Chamam Gataha Ajata Satroho Swavakyam Sabamatte Savakshati Tasyajatya Kuruvirasya Na Vigyatam Vacho Maya Tanme Tagati Gatrani Tad Akarshit Prajakaram. Dhritarashtra said, I have given you both the Devanagari script and also English. For those who do not know Devanagari, they can follow the English ones. Dhritarashtra Uvacha means Dhritarashtra said, he's addressing Vidura. Oh Vidura, Sanjayo Vidura Prapto Garshayitva Chamam Gataha. Sanjay has gone. Ajata Satro Goso Vakyam Sabamatte Sabakshati. Tomorrow, he is going to tell about the Yudhishthira's message in the court, Sabha. You have Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, these are all parliaments. So this is the house. So the royal court. So Dhritarashtra says, Sanjay is going to tell this Yudhishthira's message tomorrow in the court. Tasyadatya kuruvirasya na vigyatam vacho maya. I do not know what the message is. The message which has come from Yudhishthira, I don't know. No, because of that reason, tanme dahati gatrani. Dahati means burning, and gatra means body. My body is burning because of that, because I don't know what he's going to talk about. Tad akris atma jagaram. So I have lost sleep. He continues. Jagrato dakhyamanasya sreyo yadika pashyasi tad bruhi tvam nastat dharmartha kusalohasi. Jagrato. So there are three stages what are commonly known as Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Jagrat is being awake, being alert. Even in Hindi you have the same word. Even in Marathi I think you have the same word, Jagrat. Being awake, being alert. Sushupti and Swapna. Swapna is dream and Sushupti is deep sleep. In deep sleep you get Swapna also, right? So here he says, I am in the state of alertness or awake, being awake without sleep. Dakhya manasya, sleep and burning. And you are well versed. Dharmartha kusalo yasi. Dharmartha, you know, we have 4 stages in life, each following a particular artha or the pursuit. Dharmartha kama moksham as they call it. Dharma is code of ethics, code of behavior, which is the essential thing for any Hindu. That's why it's called Sanatana Dharma, eternal code of conduct, eternal code of behavior. So that is number 1, Dharma. Artha is the second stage, pursuit of a career. After all, we have to live also, not enough to follow Dharma, but people have to make a living, a career. So that is Artha, pursuit of it. Kama is desires. You have to fulfill desires also. Vedas are not against it. Please have desires. You have to fulfill those desires in the rightful way. And ultimately, it's moksha or salvation. So these are the 4 stages of Dharmartha, Kama, Moksham. So here, Dhritarashtra actually is praising Vidura, saying you are well versed in both Dharma and Artha. Dharmartha kusalo yasi. Tad bruhi. So you please tell me, what is the remedy for somebody who is not sleeping and whose body is burning? So this is a question asked by Dhritarashtra. Now Vidura answers, but he's a very, very skillful person. He's sugarcoating his answer. In a subtle way, He's being sarcastic. He's pointing out to Dhritarashtra, it is your own making. By asking certain questions, the answers are hinted in such a way that person feels guilty. So this is the type of answer Vidura is giving. Vidura Vacha, Vidura said, Abhiyuktam balavata durbalam khina sadhanam hrastvam kaminam choram avishanti prajagaraha kaschit eter mahadoshair nasprushto naradipa kachinna paraviteshu gridyan viparitapyase. Sleeplessness, how is it caused? You know, you've seen people, rich businessmen going without sleep. You see a poor person. I've often seen it in Mumbai and other places when I used to live there. The poor people, after doing a hard day's work, they sleep on the roadside, perfectly sound sleep. There will be so much of noises going on, mosquitoes biting, but unmindful of all that, they will sleep. On the other hand, you will find many rich people in air-conditioned comfort on a foamy mattress with all kinds of comforts around, unable to sleep. You all know it, right? This is actually life. How is it that somebody who has no money, who doesn't know where the next meal is going to come, is able to sleep, while one who is rolling in wealth is unable to sleep? There are people who intentionally cannot sleep, who have to be like robbers and thieves. Their work starts in the night. Bad guys. So sleeplessness affects a thief. Choram avisanti. Chor. In Hindi you can chor, right? One who has lost his wealth. One who has failed to achieve success. One who is lustful, kaminam. Kama itself is desire. One is after something which is not desirable, he goes after that. And if he doesn't get it, he will not sleep until he gets it. There are also people who are very weak, physically and mentally. They'll keep on worrying. Arey, kal kya hoga? My boss is going to fire me or something like that. Unnecessarily, they'll start worrying. They are weak by themselves. Durbalam. Durbalam, he says. Those who are weak. And there are also people who are attacked by a strong person. It could be on a road, on a bylane where a robber or somebody who wants to pick his pocket attacks him. It is also possible that you are in a crowd and you are always afraid of someone. When I was a kid going to school in Pune, there used to be a tough thug fellow, what do you call Gunda, right? So he used to harass all the schoolboys on the way, and I used to feel scared of him. So nighttime, sometimes you get nightmares of such people, so you cannot sleep. So when you are attacked by a strong person, you are also getting scared because you feel somebody is going to attack you. You cannot sleep. So these are different instances when one is not able to sleep. So Dhritarashtra is watching Vidura. Vidura is asking him, "O king, are you affected by any of these calamities?" You know, very subtle way of asking. Because Dhritarashtra is actually not wanting to give the kingdom, even though his own brothers' sons are there. He is supporting his son, Duryodhana, and he knows it is wrong, but still he is supporting him. Therefore, his guilty conscience makes him get worried as to what is going to be the consequence of this. Are my children going to get killed in the war? Worry. So, Vidura is asking him, has any of these grave calamities? Are you worried about that? Naradipa, O king, I hope you are not worried about any of this. You are not really concerned about robbing the wealth of somebody else or coveting the wealth of others. I hope you are not affected by this. Very subtly and sarcastically is asking. So, going further, Dhritarashtra doesn't answer directly, but he's asking him more questions. He says, Dhritarashtra uvacha Shrodum ichchami te dharmyam param naishreyasam vachaha aspin rajarishi vamse hi tvam eka prajnasammataha. Shrodum ichchami. Shrodum, I mentioned about Shruti. Shrodum is, I want to hear. Shrodum ichchami. I want to hear what? Dharmyam param naya shreyasam vachaha. What are the benefits and higher virtues in life? Dharmyam param. Param means superlative. The best virtues. Like you say Parameshwara, right? The one who is above all gods, Parameshwara. Param. Param nai shreyasam vachaha. So I want to hear what are beneficial and what to deal with higher virtues in life. Vachaha. Asmin Rajarishi Vamse. You know, Vidura is also part of the royal family. So he says, you are Tvam Ekaha, you are alone is regarded as the wisest, as the most intelligent amongst the royal rishis, Raja Rishi Vamse. So he is praising Dhritarashtra, he is praising Vidura that you are regarded as the wisest among royal rishis. So please tell me what is beneficial to me and how to deal with higher virtues. I want to hear that. So you get a reply from Vidura. Vidura uvacha. What are the signs? Lakshanam, as they call it, Lakshanam means indications. When you talk to someone, you get indications of what type of person he is. Is he really knowledgeable or he's just telling something? Hindi says, "Hey, kappa marta hai." He's just yapping something. So it is possible to know whether a person is really talking sense or just nonsense. There are certain lakshanams or signs. So Vidura is indicating that by the slokam which says, Nishevate prasasthani nimpitani na sevate anastikaha sraddadhana yetat pandita lakshanam. What are the signs of a wise person? What are the signs of a pandit, as they call it? The one, you can see he is always performing those kind of work, the deeds which are lauded by others. People clap. Hey, good job done. And consistently, regularly. So you find in some schools, you'll find a student always topping the list. He comes number one in the class. Then going further also, he continues consistently performs well. So when I studied in school, we used to have a quarterly exam, a half-yearly exam, and an annual exam. The performance has to be consistent. So the one who performs consistently praiseworthy deeds, and at the same time he rejects all the ninditani na sevate, those which are censurable, he rejects them. He doesn't follow them. And he has a firm conviction. Anastikaha sraddhadhana yetat pandita lakshanam. He has a firm conviction in teaching of the Veda. In this case, you can say any scripture. And being generous, sraddhadhan, are the signs of the wise. So, this is the indication. Going further, who is a Pandit? Vidura defines him. Krodho harshascha darpascha shastambho manyamanita yam arthan napakarshanti savai pandita uchyate. Krodham. Even in Hindi or Marathi, you have this word krodh. Krodh is anger. Krodho harshascha darpascha, one whom anger does not affect. There are some people who are always cool as a cucumber, as they call it. Whatever happens, they don't get angry. There are individuals like that. There are also people who get ignited in no time. They flash up. So the Pandita is one whom neither anger, at the same time even joy. When they get $1 million or $1 million rupees in the lottery, also they don't show anything special joy. And they are not proud. They have modesty. Vinaya, as it's called in Sanskrit, you got Vinayam. Students are supposed to be having that humility. They don't have pride. And they don't show off with that false modesty or vanity. No, they don't show any of these, neither anger, nor joy, nor pride, or false modesty, nor vanity. So they can draw away from these to pursue the 4 legitimate goals of life, what are called purusharthas, which I mentioned before, dharmartha kama moksha. Such a person is considered as a Pandit. Very, very crisp definition. Of course, it talks more. But today we have covered the initial part of Vidura Neeti, where I had given you the background, starting right from the source of knowledge and wisdom from the Vedas, then the Puranas, the Itihasas, and then how Maharishi Veda Vyasa is the compiler of the 4 Vedas and the author of Mahabharata and the Puranas, and a background introduction of Vidura. Vidura Neeti, who's Vidura, in what context Vidura Neeti comes, what do we gain out of it, a summary of the 8 chapters that cover the entire Vidura Neeti, a piece of excellent advice, and what we can benefit by following this. And I have opened the first session by starting on the conversation between Dhritarashtra and Vidura, his minister. So Dhritarashtra is asking question as a sleepless person, and Vidura answers his question, and he also adds further on what are the lakshanam or signs of a wise person and who is considered as a Pandit. So we will stop now at this first session and we'll continue this in our second session. My request to you all is go through this, listen to this. Please share it if you like with others. And if you don't like it, do tell me, or you would like to make some changes in it, because I would respond to the way you provide me the feedback and maybe change the presentation or highlight certain things which you really want. So that way we can establish a better contact and be able to develop these future lessons in a manner which most of you will like and appreciate. So today, let me conclude this. Thank you very much. Namaste. You all have a wonderful day.